So anyway, I was kind of getting myself psyched up or, prepared mentally for this interview. And the man that had moved here from New Jersey, I said, well, you moved here because of my writings. He met me on Alt Market, and we corresponded, email, text, phone, encouraged him, and, I call it it's a ministry. It's kind of somewhere between babysitting and coaching and midwifing. Just kind of it's almost a birthing process of people going from where they're at and just pulling up stakes and going through that whole emotional stress. I've done it twice, so I'm not, not speaking from no experience. I did it with my family. I did it with everything we owned, pretty much. I mean, we left things behind here and there, and we did it on virtually zero income. So, just wanted to say that. And so I asked this guy, I said, well, I'm just trying to get my head around this interview. And I said, you moved here because of me, my writings. I said, what was it in my writings? I just want you to think about this, and I'd like to talk to you before, the interview. He says, I don't have to think about it. He says, I can answer you in one word: geography. Geology and geography was it. So the geological construction of the United States dictates that there are going to be changes, and he saw that. He was, and he was a very intelligent man. But he could see that from my writings and from talking to me, and he moved here. So, and that was from a long trip, several trips from New Jersey. All right, so let's get into this. Introduction. 12 years ago, this is from my book. I wrote this in 2000, the year 2000. I titled it various things: How to Get Out of Babylon. Initially called it Wings of an Eagle. WE, because it's going to take we to get through this whole thing. We are going to have to work together. So that one friend pointed out, he said he really liked that, Wings of an Eagle. How to Get Out of Babylon. It's available online on lulu.com, which is a self-publishing firm. You order the book, they send it to you. They charge you whatever they charge you for it, plus then they pay the author whatever he wants. Well, I have had it out there free of charge for a long time. So it is out there available. Go to lulu.com. You see to the right or somewhere a PDF. And what in the... Oh, I didn't. Okay. Sorry about that. I have a timer set, but I guess I talked too long. So you can download it free and read that. It's about 50 pages. It's really just a booklet. It's nothing much more than an outline of what I saw at the time coming to pass, and it has indeed been coming to pass more and more powerfully, more clearly, more directly, more personally than I could have ever dreamed of. So that is something that I would recommend that you read, because it kind of lays the foundation for everything from that time to this that I've been doing. And someday I want to do an update, maybe. I might just do a verbal reading of it and then just reminisce and say, oh, this happened and that happened and the other thing happened, because a lot of things have happened that I wrote about. All right, so 12 years ago, I made up a saying, which came from my assessment of the situation as I saw it. It is still true. A lot of people are going to die because they thought they were smart enough to think for themselves. And I would add to that, a lot of people are going to die because they listened to someone else that they thought was smart enough to do their thinking for them. And they weren't. And there's a lot of people like that out there. And I'm talking leaders that are doing other people's thinking for them and telling them where to live and telling them what to do, and they're not even smart enough to think for themselves, let alone to be thinking for thousands upon thousands of other people. We'll get into that. It's a kind of a bone I have to pick, an axe to grind. Recently, we watched the movie The Druids about Vercingetorix, the great leader in Gaul, France, who stood up to the Romans. The people failed to heed the wisdom of his advice, and so thousands were slaughtered. My son pointed out, quote, "It is what you've been saying, Dad. A lot of people die when they think they're smart enough to think for themselves," end quote. Often we need to subject our intellect to that of another greater or more informed mind. I deliberately did that and ended up where I am now after 4 years in Kansas boot camp for Missouri, as my wife says. Getting used to ticks, chiggers, humidity, ice storms in January, and snowstorms in March. And it's mid-March here, and we haven't had a snowstorm, and we're way behind on moisture, rainfall. So when I talk about, it doesn't mean that someone's way smarter than you. They might be more informed than you are. And let me give you an example. I said I deliberately did that. Well, when I saw things were going to be changing, life was going to be changing, that the shit was going to hit the fan, however you want to say it, balloon was going to go up. We're going to be living in a world different than the one we grew up in. We are. The end of the world as we know it doesn't mean the end of the world, but life is going to change, okay? Admit that, deal with it, deal with reality, and make commensurate changes in your lifestyle, shall we say. Okay. Grew up in Denver. My idea was always survivalist mentality. I'm going to go to the mountains and hunt, Oh, yeah, and grow a tomato, Well, you can't feed a family on, what you're going to hunt and a tomato. I say a tomato because a friend of mine did have a tomato plant up by Estes Park, and he had a tomato. It wasn't quite ripe before it died. So, anyway. One of the things I did was I saw that, this is going to go military, so I might as well get to know some military people. So I started, as I called it, collecting Vietnam vets as friends. And one of those that I did had been a Green Beret in Vietnam, 3 tours in Nam, lifelong special forces and reserves and, military. In fact, after we went to live with him in Kansas, that's where we spent our 4 years in Kansas was with this guy. He said, the only thing I've ever been good at in life is killing people. Quite a revelation. And so it was interesting. My family was on a very, very, very short list of safe people. Because there were days when he woke up, he said, and all his muscles were like steel, and he's in an absolute, utter black rage. And if he saw anybody, he'd kill them. So he'd just stay in his room. He says, but that doesn't, your family's okay. And there's 2 friends of mine, that I wouldn't kill. So that was an interesting time. We learned a lot. So he told me over and over and over again, you got to go east. You got to go east. You have to go east. You cannot go try to live in the mountains. It's not going to be holdable. It will not be tenable, holdable. They will control the water. And from that day to this, it's been a constant, just you can't hunt here and you can't hunt here. You can't go near the river. The Browns River, which we used to hunt at all the time, is now closed. You can't call it hardly anywhere. Back then, there was in one given area, there was 400 leftover doe tags. Now you have to draw, like you did with elk, just to hunt a deer. So they've done a lot to decimate the population there. All right. So he kept telling me, you got to go east. You got to go where you can grow food, and in order to grow food, you have to have water. Now, he had seen this. Now, after about the 100th time, maybe 20th, it finally sunk in. This guy has been around the world several times. He has seen civilizations go down. And the first night I met him, he pointed to a flag up in the corner, and he said, that flag was given to me by a boy, a 12-year-old boy who is not as tall as the M16 that I issued him. We trained battalions of people to fight communism, and we knew what our government was going to do. We knew they were going to pull us out of there. And I tried to adopt that little boy, but we weren't there. Plausible deniability. If you're caught, blah, 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 captured, we'll deny any, knowledge of your existence. They were there. They weren't there. They were there, but they weren't, okay? So they couldn't adopt him. What happened was that they drew out all resistance to fight communism and then had them all annihilated, withdrew all support, all, supplies, ammunition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And my friend knew that was going to happen. And one of the things he said was that first